Hi, have you heard about Bitcoin? Not Bitcoin, but Bipcoin. Bravo, India, Papa, Coin. Bipcoin is a new cryptocurrency that you can start mining today for free on ordinary computers. Unlike most altcoins, Bipcoin is not a clone of Bitcoin. Bipcoin is based on entirely new, more recent, and better code called CryptoNote. So unlike Bitcoin, Bipcoin has truly untraceable transactions, does not require specialized mining rigs, and has adaptive limits. Plus, Bipcoin is the only cryptocurrency covered by the BIPCOT no government license. This allows use and reuse by anyone except governments and government agents. If you're still kicking yourself in the head for not getting in on the ground floor of Bitcoin, start mining, using, and trading Bipcoin today.
Not a guarantee.
Mining Bipcoin costs you nothing but the electricity to run your computer. And we already take Bipcoin for stickers and buttons. Go to bipcoin.org. That's bipcoin.org. Once again, that's Bravo, India, Papa, coin.org.
He said that Russia and the U.S. are going to team up to stop China from becoming like the new world, world power and all that. And I kind of see that posturing right now. I can see like this big fake thing happening and Trump, calming it down, and Putin and him have this big PR moment. And it's like this big, like huge, all these huge trade agreements and everything popping off between Russia and United States and all, peace for blah, 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 blah. And it's all to stop China from
and then poof
getting in there.
And then poof, we've always been at war with East Asia.
Seeds of liberty. 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 Seeds of liberty.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 96th episode of the Seeds of Liberty podcast. As always, we are covered by a BIPCOT no government license. This allows reuse by anyone except governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org. So we are back this week after taking a week off. I am Jeremy. I am joined, as always, by Dave. And we have Andrei coming back this week. Hey, Andrei. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
All right. This week we are brought to you again by FeenPhone. And after our week off, I know Dave was under the weather last week. I was all sorts of messed up.
Yeah,
my poor back.
I had something rough. It was not nice.
Yeah, my kids, unfortunately, have been getting sick a bunch lately, even though I try to do everything I can to prevent that. But they've been coming down with stuff by going to their dance classes and everything. Because as I learned very quickly, plenty of parents send their kids to class without caring if they're sick or not.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, dealing with sick kids is pretty much, that's one of the guaranteed things of having a kid is you're going to have to deal with a sick kid.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I understand that, but it just, it's one of those grind my gears things when,
Oh, yeah. No, totally understand.
My ex was...
if your kid is running if their nose is just running and they look horrific... But no, they have to get to ballerina practice. They have to get to karate class. It's just,
I know
that's going to happen. Has to happen.
Yeah, my ex was telling me, because I finally got to stop by one of their classes, because they move their classes to a day during the week when I'm usually busy at that hour, so I'm never able to make it. But I finally had time the other day, and I got to watch them, which was really cool. They were all excited that I actually made it down there. But one of the women that was there, apparently, my ex told me after the fact that she's there every week. It's like a grandmother who has custody of this little grandchild who's like the same age as my kids, so like 5 or 6 years old. But she was telling her, she's like, oh yeah, so and so, whatever her name is. Oh, she's been coming down with something, but I wanted to get her out of the house. And it's like, really, you're gonna tell other people that you brought your sick kid to class? Like, that's really nice. Thank you.
So get her out of the house by taking her to the store.
Everyone.
Don't take her to a friggin' classroom.
Jesus. I know. Don't take her where she's going to be running around and sweating.
To the park where there's a fresh breeze blowing.
Well, I mean, okay, that it's the middle of winter right now, so I understand that not wanting to go to the park. But take her out in the backyard. Anything. I don't get that. It drives me insane.
Shoot her.
Ever since I've been, and I used to get nasty comments from some people in my family, or just like disappointment if I would cancel at the last minute when I couldn't bring my kids to something, because it's like they're sick, and it's like, oh, it's okay. It's like, no, it's not okay, because then when everybody else gets sick later, I don't want to hear the complaints. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things.
I'm one of those people that I hate when I'm sick and I tell someone like, hey, I'm sick. I don't want to be around anyone right now. Like, I'm contagious. and they're just like, I don't care. And then they come over and then they get sick and then they like blame you. And you're like,
oh my
I
God,
told
why'd you
you
get me sick? You got me sick. Like, yeah,
It's like,
I told you I was sick and
like,
you came over anyway. Like, I don't know what you want from me. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You don't listen to me. It's not my fault after the fact.
So-
Come on now. So,
Trump had his first little thingy, big thingy yesterday, today.
oh yeah, you were telling me
It was
about that
about
before
a
the show.
2-hour press conference, basically, and he went off on the media, man. Some things are happening, because the media is just the media, like the corporate media, is just a CIA fronts. They're all really just controlled CIA fronts. So
Allegedly.
allegedly,
Well, I don't know about necessarily controlled by the CIA, but controlled by whoever their handlers are, which are the, political elite, the people that are, maneuvering things behind the scenes.
Well,
But for those of us who aren't familiar with it, Dave, can you like fill us in? Because I'm only vaguely aware of what was going on.
Well, he started off saying, like, hey, we're, people are actually shocked because a president's actually doing something and actually doing some of the things he said he was promising, following through, which is, kind of odd because most presidents, even starting from like George Washington, Jackson, Adams, they all like campaigned on like the complete opposite of what they did once in office. But Trump is one of the first presidents that I can name offhand that said, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and has like actively started to do it. But still, like, here's the problem, right? With this whole thing, everyone's getting swooped up in this Trump mania, basically, in the liberty community, like wanting to back Trump, and he is doing some good things, but
I don't know about everybody.
this
wanting to
slavery
back
can't
him.
be perfected, man. Like this thing is so off track. There's no way he can fix this. This is about to go down in flames, and they're gonna pin it all on him and say this is what happens when you elect an outsider and blah blah blah. And it's just going to be miserable. There's no way he's going to let them fix this the way they've set it up to fail, man. And Obama's like last 8 years have been a complete setup for the government to fail. He's like quadrupled the debt.
No, I agree.
They were
And
just going up on QE4, right?
Yeah, actually, Jared mentioned something about that because he's held to the belief that what's probably going to end up happening is that Fed is going to say that it has to raise rates or it's not going to raise rates, and with the continuing downward pressure on interest rates is going to cause a dollar collapse, which of course they're going to pin on Trump because he's the guy in charge and yada yada whatever. So yeah, I can totally see that happening.
Well, I that's a possibility, but that also, I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything, but that would mean that I was right this entire time when I kept trying to tell people it didn't matter, and that the powers that be didn't care if Trump got in, because if they did, they had a plan for it. And I got so much flack for that, and I've continued to get flack because any positive, so-called positive thing that Trump does, I get the same flack from the same people going, "Look, see, you were wrong. He's doing these things that he said he was going to do, or he's doing these good things." It's like, he's doing. Do you remember the
Chevy Chase thing?
Yep. No, what Chevy Chase? Thing?
The Chevy Chase when he's sticking the gum in the Hoover Dam.
Oh yeah. Was that vacation? Or
that's what Trump's doing right now, and everybody's like, "Yay, another piece of gum."
Well, to me, it shows how delusional people still are. I mean, that's why I use the term residual statism a lot of the times. That I don't think people recognize how attached they still are to these. They think they've gotten past the idea of the system, and they think they know a better way now. But they're still kind of wedded to it. I mean,
it's okay to cheer any minimalization of the state, in my opinion.
Okay,
it's okay.
Cheering minimalization of the state is one thing. But to
think you're winning and this is a thing that you helped or do, like, that's a farce in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, that's where I see a lot of people coming, like the people who are constantly attacking anybody who didn't want Trump to win or didn't say it or said it didn't matter, or who is still poo-pooing the whole thing, like me, who constantly gets attacked because all I'm doing is attacking Trump. It's like, yeah, see, it's funny. Like the one thing that people throw around a lot, they want to attack the people on the so-called left by saying, well, you weren't saying anything when Obama was doing all these things. Well, the same applies here. None of the people that are attacking me for bashing Trump constantly were saying anything about me bashing Obama constantly for the past 4 years when I was making memes and writing and doing content all about that. Like none of them said a goddamn word. So why is it like I haven't changed? I'm still on the attack against everybody in this state. I don't care about the positive outcomes because it's just I don't care if my mother was
president, you know?
Yeah, like, exactly. I don't care either. It's the positive stuff that happens. And again,
but you know, these things that Trump is doing, they are better. Like I am happy that they're happening.
What is it? Okay, Dave, tell me this. What has actually happened so far? There's been a lot of things proposed.
Well, number one,
there's been a lot of orders issued, but what's actually happened?
He froze the payment on the Obamacare tax of not having health care, which I didn't have this last year. So it's going to save me like $700. So that's just right
Has that gone into effect already?
Yeah. Like that's for you filing this year. Okay. So that's just one that I can name. I mean, I could really go down the list. Like there's been 1,500 pedophiles and their networks like rounded up right now.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with Trump.
3 weeks. No, that didn't start happening until Sessions got in there. So it has everything to do with Trump. It really does.
Okay.
So I these are good things that are happening, but it still doesn't. The state still is a joke. Like it's going to fail. This whole thing is about to fail. Like there's no way, like the only thing I could see them doing is Trump going in and like sending the army in and like occupying every Fed building and saying we're nationalizing the Fed essentially, quote unquote, and going from there. But that would start essentially an international war. Like everything is just bad from here. I'm telling you, it may look good, but like it's all bad from here. Because the Fed is still there, regardless of Trump being there or not.
Well,
like the Fed is there,
and I agree with Jeremy. Like, there's really there's no difference in terms of what the end outcome is going to be. The end outcome is going to be that the state will, the people controlling the state will engineer something to where Trump looks like crap and more state authority is heaped on. You know, using his failures as an excuse. Mm-hmm. And the same thing would have happened with Hillary, except it would have been just a different script to read from.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but I also agree with Dave. You know, any positive thing that happens is cool. Like, for example, not having to pay tax for not having health insurance because I didn't have it either this year. That's a plus. Yeah. But at the same time, like I'm not over. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not over here like, oh my god, it's so cool.
No, I know.
Like, I'm not gonna wear a MAGA hat on.
I get that. You know, and I'm not. Because that's the same position. It's the same type of position that I've held on the legalization versus decriminalization debate for quite a long time. That I'm obviously a proponent of decriminalization over legalization.
Right.
But I've always said that I won't go out and vote in any of those referendums or whatever. Like, we never get them around here anyway, but even if we did, I probably wouldn't go out and vote. But I'm not going to, if they decided to make it like legal, quote unquote legal for all across the board in New York, I'm not going to all of a sudden say, well, no, I don't accept this decision because, like, I'm obviously going to, quote unquote take it because, it's a good thing. But for me, it's more, like I said, most of it is just superficial stuff with the,
I think voting depends on how local, like how much you can prove your vote actually happens to reduce the state.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm not even talking about that though, because for me, it's a completely different thing. It has nothing to do with the outcome. It has to do with what I'm actually doing by trying to impose my will on others via the force of the state. So I don't but again, I'm not saying I wasn't saying anything about people who do go ahead and vote for that stuff. That to me, that's your own personal decision, whatever. I just don't personally do it, but I'm not gonna.
I think it's a charade and won't involve myself with it. But you do what you want to do.
Well, that's kind of the attitude I have.
Kabuki theater. That's what Merrick calls it.
Yeah, well, then that's a good description.
Merrick is
So it's very. I don't Like I said, these things that he's doing. I mean, you use the example of the tax from the ACA. Well, I get that and I understand that, but I said a couple of years ago that was actually that was the final straw and the quote unquote justification I used for saying F you to being extorted altogether when it came down that was going to keep happening and it was going to be finally implemented,
that's blatant
I was
fascism.
like, yeah, I'm done. And what's the one way they can't
That's not
tax?
even, you're not even being forced to pay for a state provided market thing. You're being forced to pay for private companies, basically. Like,
Well,
that is
yeah.
that is fascism. That is,
Well, it is.
100% fascism.
And that was the final
Communism
straw for me.
is when you're forced to pay for state things. So
Well, yeah, but that was the final straw, and I said, "That's it. I'm not being extorted anymore." So, because I figured out what's the one way they can't tax you if they don't know the answer to the question: have you been insured? Were you insured or not? If you don't give them any information, they don't have the answer to that question.
Which coincidentally is exactly what that executive order was doing, because I read up something in passing about it earlier today, because I got an email about it. And essentially what it was you could, before you could file a return, and I think line 61 on one of the pages asks if you had health coverage. And if you neglected to check it off, your return wouldn't be filed and it would just get kicked back. So as of right now, for fiscal year 2016 filing in 2017, if you don't check that doesn't matter. They'll still process and file your return the same way they've been doing it. Yeah,
that's kind of like the first year they did it, where they set everything up to have it done, and then they got injunctions and got it pushed back or they said they were being nice, basically.
Right.
They got to push for
I
a
think
year or
Trump's
two.
also trying to end the EPA. I think that's another big thing that I've heard recently.
Well, I know
He's just trying to completely end it.
Somebody else, because Massey did the bill for the Department of Education, the one line bill.
Yes.
But what I also heard, I don't really pay attention to most of this stuff, because it has no direct bearing on me for the most part. But I did read that another congressman, I believe it was a congressman, I'm not sure who though, also wrote a one line bill to take the EPA down. Do you guys know anything about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's essentially, I think, what Trump was wanting was like, hey, we need to cut the fat. And the EPA is one of them, because, the EPA is completely communist.
Okay.
That is one of the planks of it. It has to go.
Cutting the fat, I get, but if that was his true intention, why did he bother with hiring somebody for it? Why wouldn't he just?
I think you got to put someone there to dissemble it, right?
But you do, you don't.
There's all these things we don't know.
Because remember, when we talk about this stuff for people listening, that sometimes we're talking about being inside the paradigm. We're basically with this paradigm we're already in, but in the confines of this paradigm, all he has to do is write an executive order to end the EPA.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was created by executive order, right?
Yes,
I'm pretty sure all the
just like the Department of Education was.
Well, not branches, but alphabet soup agencies were all pretty much executive order, right?
Most of them, yeah,
except for the fucking Navy, right?
Well, most of them fall under the purview of the executive branch, so yeah, they would have had to have come through that or some kind of executive power to put them underneath the executive, and that's why when people say, "Oh, he wants to do this," he wants to do this, I'm like, wait a minute. All he has to do is this one thing. If he really wanted to do that, why isn't that happening? That's why it gives me even more pause when all these positive things happen and people get excited about, oh, look at these good things that are happening. Because it's always a dog and pony show, man. And this just keeps happening over and over again. I think I understand people are desperate, and I understand it, especially for people in the, quote unquote liberty community who have, for the most part, finally figured out what the real problem is and how bad things really are. It's like, I get wanting to cling to any type of positivity and think, oh, it's maybe we can, not necessarily even fix it through the system, but at least make it a little bit better on the way down. Like, I understand that urge, but when has that ever proven to happen? I've said it so many times. Trump to me is the fucking reincarnation of Reagan. And anybody who takes off the motherfucking rose-colored glasses will recognize that Reagan's presidency was not really as great as everybody wants to make it out to be.
Yeah. Oh, no. He wasn't the conservative savior that everyone thinks he is. And I don't know what Trump is yet. Like I said, I think it's way too early to classify or say anything, because you have open revolt from the Republicans and the Democrats right now for Trump, like, and his administration. Like, there's obviously a lot of things going on in the backgrounds that we and the common folk, quote unquote, don't, and probably will never know.
No, there's the struggle for power that
they're trying to keep the curtain up right now. Oz is trying to keep the curtain up. I keep telling you guys, the Fed is out of control and there's nothing that can stop it. Like, even if they do helicopter money, which I'm absolutely positive they're going to do, and it's going to look like the best economy ever, it's going to collapse.
I don't know that term. What is helicopter money?
Well, you know, all this money.
Is that where you drop money out of helicopters
instead of communists?
Basically, it's the same effect.
Thank you for finishing that one.
Yeah, it's basically that. It's basically when the Fed just prints so much money and just gives it to everybody that it's like $10,000 for a cup of coffee. But everyone's got a shit ton of money, you know.
Well, that's
goody. So it'll be like crap.
The Weimar Republic.
Give me an example. Zimbabwe? Rhodesia?
Yeah. Zimbabwe, Weimar Republic, China before their revolution. I mean, there's a lot of things that have,
Zimbabwe.
Fiat usually only lasts 25 years. So just remember that. If you look at American history,
I don't know about
Fiat, the average length of a fiat currency of its existence, a historian looked it over. There's a complete study done on it. It's 25 years. And if you look at America, every 25 years, there was a major stock market thing, and like the currency was like changed, and like Reagan debased the gold, and then it went to like the petrodollar, and then like we're now like at that next 25-year spot where the petrodollar is going to fail, and it is failing. Like green energy and all this other stuff is going to replace the petrodollar and the need for oil and stuff.
Well, it's not going to happen. It's not even just that.
I don't know about green energy. Green energy is not ready to do
I was using that as an umbrella term for like.
Well, no.
Not oil.
But what I'm talking about isn't necessarily that we're not going to use oil. We're probably going to use oil for the foreseeable future, at least the next
for sure
20, 30 years. But other countries are really just getting tired of the United States shit. Because the only thing that's propping up the petrodollar is the promise that the United States military is going to bash your skull in if you don't use it. And eventually people just get tired of the threat and they're like, all right, fine, we'll take our chances.
Well, that happened.
I mean, yourself. Iran just did it.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Just did it.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
people try to do it all the time. What should I call it? Gaddafi did it. Saddam did it, or tried to do it at least. Iran's tried to do it a couple of times because
Assad did it.
I mean,
they've been fucking with Iran.
Yeah, Assad did it.
Yeah, Assad. Yeah,
and Russia and China have been talking about that for a while. Which I mean, it's come and gone. The topic comes up and then it goes away for a while, comes back up, goes away for a while, but it's always there in the background. Like this is a huge.
I'm on the Dylan strategy now. I think Dylan. He said that Russia and the U.S. are going to team up to stop China from becoming like the new world power and all that. And I kind of see that posturing right now. I can see like this big fake thing happening and Trump, calming it down, and Putin and him have this big PR moment. And it's like this big, like huge, all these huge trade agreements and everything popping off between Russia and United States and all, peace for blah, 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 blah. And it's all to stop China from getting in there.
And then poof, we've always been at war with East Asia.
That's right.
Yep. I fucking love you, Jeremy.
So that you're referring to our friend Dylan Robinson from Veteran Anarchy, who we've had on the show before. Yeah, he
did comes up with something every so often. Dylan comes up with something good.
No,
that I have to give him credit for.
He comes up with quite a bunch.
But I don't know. That could be wrong. He could be wrong on that one. But it seems like what's happening, because Trump's been saying, I want peace with Putin. I want to have friendly relations, and like there's all this fake buildup, like if you've been keeping up with the news, there's all this weird stuff like Trump's a Russian agent, half his cabinet.
That's just the media clinging to, because they can't backtrack at this point. They have to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, they've already doubled down where all of the major down. So.
Do you see where all the major liberal news sites, half of their clicks were coming from China, and all of their websites are banned there?
How does that work?
They were paying for
they were
clicks
paying
to keep their advertisers. Yeah, to keep their advertisers fooled because they're about to get all their advertisers fooled because like no one's going to their websites, man.
Yeah,
Sucks. That's what happens when you're shit.
yeah. But I'm afraid to see what replaces it, because this is something, Dave.
A more radical communist, leaning shit.
Well, yeah, because see, here's the thing, Dave. You and I were talking about this a little bit before the show. While it may just be the pessimist in me, and it may just be my conspiracy minded side that sneaks back out every once in a while. I keep looking, what I do pay attention to, and what the overview that I keep getting. It seems to me that this constant need for Trump to remind everybody that fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news, while he's not wrong, because it's all BS. The fact that he gives Fox, and I think Breitbart to an extent, a pass when, honestly, they're not all that much better.
Breitbart gets a huge pass.
Yeah, they're not much better.
Well, I'm pretty sure Steve Bannon, one of his high-ranking administrators, was one of the head honchos at Breitbart. So,
well, Bannon was one of.
There's also this thing.
Bannon was at Breitbart. Bannon pretty much ran.
That's
Breitbart
what I'm saying.
After Andrew Breitbart was murdered.
There's also this thing that a lot of people don't know that I could be wrong on. So don't quote me on this, but this is what I've heard. Trump and some of his companies have bought up all of the failing small newspaper companies, local newspaper companies. They've just wholesale bought them up, just swallowed up I think it was like 5,000 companies or something.
Okay, that would make sense.
So
from
there's
business.
this thing where quietly all of the news media at local levels and everything have been bought up by essentially high-ranking presidential members.
Well,
so they're going to control all the local level.
But see,
media. It's going to be wild.
That's kind of what that's what.
And they have a one-party rule.
Well, see, I didn't even know about that, and that's what I was kind of worried about, because while it's great that that this is being pointed out and more people are finally starting to realize that a lot of stuff they're seeing is BS. When you have somebody else like on the other side constantly pointing it out, even though everybody seems to know now, it's like, well, what's the motivation to continuously point it out? Is it to discredit them to such a fact that you can roll in whatever you want and people will be clamoring for it at that point? Because
I kind of got that impression too. So I feel you on that.
And because the one thing Trump is, and he's always been, he's like a marketing whiz. This guy, he knows.
He's 5 steps ahead.
He knows how to play. Like he's known how to play the media itself. They
say he plays 4-dimensional chess, Jeremy.
Is that a thing? I mean, I've seen 3D chess.
Well, it is because he's a time traveler.
Oh, remember, that's right.
He's a time traveler.
That's right.
So in the future, they have 4-dimensional chess, which is why he plays 4-dimensional chess so well.
No, that's just that he's he's 4 or 5 steps ahead. It feels like of pretty much everyone. Like, guys, I hope they don't kill this guy, because I could see a civil war. I'm pretty sure I've said that I only see civil war or nothing good coming from Trump winning. I believe I said that episode like 70 or 50 or something like that. Okay. I'm still sticking to my guns. Like, I see no way out of this Federal Reserve thing that does not resolve in World War III or the international powers to be crashing in and trying to start a civil war in the United States to stop Trump from nationalizing or stopping the Fed. We're headed for troubled times. A lot of people don't understand it. Like, I hate to be the guy in the corner saying the end is near, but it feels like I'm one of the only people that's still saying it. Feels like everybody else is like, oh, Trump's in and it's great. And I'm like, no, there's still this huge fireball rolling down the hill that we should be worried about.
Yeah, there is. There's a heck of a lot of problems. And that's what I was saying before, that, all these little good things, yeah, they're wonderful, but they're meant to be a distraction. They're meant to suck people back in. They're meant to take it happens all the time with either side. Certain things are done to swing the people who are now on the fence all of a sudden because they didn't get their way, and they're like, even within the parties, like when there's if the nomination goes, like it did with Bernie this year, where so many people wanted Bernie, like more people are all of a sudden like, wait a minute, this is really messed up. Like kind of how like a lot of Republicans were shook after the Ron Paul thing. We're like, wait a minute. Like a lot of these people have been telling us for years that it's all kind of rigged like this, but now we just got to see it, firsthand. So like, what do they have to, what happens? Like that's when people's minds are most fertile for new ideas. But if you don't, there's a small window for it, because then the powers that be, the establishment, either side of the establishment, the constant power struggle, whichever side it is, they regroup and they find ways to reel those people that are on the fence back in. And when you get these little positive steps, these things that happen that people go, yeah, everybody goes, yay. It's like, okay, well, now we've distracted them just a little bit because the
system's working. It's really working.
That has been my point for how long now? The system works. We can use it for good.
It doesn't matter if Trump gets everything he desires in, guys. It will still be a failure because why? Communism can never price things correctly, and everything government does is essentially communism. It will always fail, even if it has the best intentions of the world and actually is carried out with the best intended people, with the most virtuous of consciousnesses. It would still fail because they can't price correctly. That's why the DMV is so shit. That's why state ran anything is so shit.
Yeah. They don't. There's no pricing mechanism when you have like no contract bids for pretty much everything. You have guns
pointed at people,
and and you're the money you're forcing them to take.
I mean, not only that, but people will always, and this is an axiom, people will always act in their self-interest. No matter how altruistic a human being is, they will act in their self-interest. They always do things. People always behave and always act in the furtherance of whatever ends they're trying to pursue. So there's no way to stamp that out. You can't stamp that out unless you're talking about robots. Then you can just program them to be selfless. Mm-hmm. If you can program human beings to be selfless, then cool, but they're not human anymore because you've taken away their self-interest, which is one of the fundamental things that make us human.
Yeah, short of eugenics, that's not happening. So or robots, I guess you're right.
We got there's microchips. They got microchips for the brains now.
Anarcho-transhumanism, singularity.
Oh yeah, my goodness! No thanks.
Or no. What is it? No. What is it?
Post-scarcity
economy, right?
Robo-communism.
Well, that's a little different because not all.
We're talking about Borg here, Andre. We're talking about plugging up everybody to the Borg.
Well, yeah, that's
we are Borg.
Well, because
that's. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just gonna say because I know quite a few transhumanists, and they're not all like it has nothing to do with that aspect.
I'm a transhumanist.
Yeah, no, I'm
when it comes down to
poking
it.
Fun. Yeah,
no, I'm poking.
Some of
fun.
them are.
I was poking fun.
But you got
specifically
more
the Venus Project.
Oh yeah. Well, those I don't even count those as transhumanists. I count those as Looney Tunes because they just really
those are
robo-communism, man. Robo-communism.
No, those are
if we put the robots in charge. If we put the robots in charge, we'll never have a problem because robots can figure everything out. Robots have the solution.
They've never seen the Terminator series, have
Socialism.
I know, right? Skynet.
Seriously.
No. Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, I know.
I know that communism sounds fun to bash, but it really is fucking evil. Like it needs to be.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting.
Andre, if people don't know, you were basically one of these National Socialists for a while. And you've been around these people. They don't even know what they're talking. Like, they don't even understand what they believe in, so to say.
Yeah, they don't.
From what you were telling me, like, everyone that you, like, came in contact with was just complete useful idiot.
Yes. I mean, and this was, to be fair, this was at my level, which was, like, super... like levels removed from the people that are spouting and spewing all of this bullshit nonsense. once you get up to there, I don't even think they believe their bullshit. I think they're just using that as a platform to gain whatever small measure of power they can and use it for their own whims, because they're sociopaths. As like I've said multiple times, anytime you have political power concentrated in the hands of a small number of people, anytime that you legitimize an arbitrary authority, you open a path for sociopaths to take that power. It incentivizes sociopaths. That's all that government does. That's all that state authority does. It incentivizes sociopaths to pursue that avenue. But yeah, most of the people, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They're just like, oh yeah, skinheads, yeah, Nazis, yeah, National Socialism.
We got to make a white nation for the white, Well, I've heard all
14
the
words and all that bullshit.
I bet I could blend in real quickly, easily into a crowd like that. Just their lingo is very easily, but it seems like they all still need that group thing is what they're really looking for, is like, hey, I need something bigger than myself.
Well, yeah, it's just another form of collectivism. That's all it, it comes in so
I
many
just
forms.
wish I could grab people and shake them and be like, you're an individual, act like it.
Well, no,
so to speak.
But unfortunately, people like the ones you're referring to, and and plenty of other groups. It's not only that just like with government, sociopaths get drawn to power. People like that really focus on might makes right. That's how they live their life, and
exactly.
how do you do that? The easiest way to do that in most societies is with numbers. So you have to be a group. It's not about the individual. You need to be an effective part of the team, basically, in order to help overcome all the other groups in the area, in order to grow or maintain the power that you want to or you're trying to achieve. So absolutely. It's just,
but that's really all it is, though. I mean, the conceptualization of socialism in their minds is like it's non-existent. They have no idea what any of this actually implies.
Oh, they're just.
But I mean, that's true for like pretty much everybody. Though, so I can't even.
Well, yeah, it's any form of statism.
Any socialist anyway.
There's a Hayek quote, and it said, I think it goes something like this. It's like, most socialists would absolutely abhor and abstain from any implication of their ideals if they fully understood it.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely right. Absolutely right. You see, and Andrei's right. The sociopaths are who take control over when some ideology wins that requires a lie or whatnot. The people that were duped go, wait a second, this isn't what we were wanting. And the people that are like, hey, we've got all the guns, have a big conflict. So the guys with the guns usually win.
Well, yeah, that usually does help.
Well, that's why you have to have your own guns, though. A rifle behind every blade of grass. That's the first thing that socialists have been
tricked into believing, is the government should be the only one with guns.
Well, see, yeah, that leads us to something else we were talking about before the show about when you talk about a lot of people, a reason a lot of people have seemed to drift back towards government, whether they already were anarchists or they were on that path or whatever, and now have almost started reverting back to their old ways. Most of them are doing it out of fear, and it's because the one thing government is really good at is fear mongering. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and using violence.
It doesn't matter. Well, that too, but it doesn't matter it doesn't matter who's in there. They just have to change the script and give a different boogeyman and just focus everybody's attention on that. And, because I get so frustrated when I hear so many people continually talk about how I'm insane for not fearing the vague idea of the Muslims as much as they do. And every one of these people points to Europe and goes, you don't know what's happening over there. I'm like, oh no, I'm pretty aware of what's happening over there. What's the one thing they don't? What's the one thing we have that they don't? And they never want to answer the question. They're not fucking armed. They've had all their fucking guns taken away from them.
And it's not even really Muslims, Jeremy.
Or they've willingly given them up.
That they're forcing to move over there, or that they're getting intentionally bussed in for political reasons. Like, this is a complete op, like completely.
Well, I've heard that, but I've heard that story too, and I
and you pin it on a religion. I think is false, but who knows?
Well, no, it's not. It's not that. It's not that Jeremy
crazy.
was. Well, it's not that Jeremy was pinning.
No, I'm
it
not
on
saying
a
Jeremy was.
religious-
No, I wasn't saying.
Oh
that.
no, okay,
yeah,
I
he's talking about the
I got
government pitting and certain people.
Right, right.
No, and I agree.
Well,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
got you now.
people that okay, Islam is a problem for anybody that supports libertarianism. We got that understood, but that's not what the issue is in Europe right now at all. The forced immigration is the issue in Europe right now. You could insert any religion there, it would be bad. You transport that many Buddhists into that location, you're gonna have issues. Okay,
that seems like a stretch.
Well, no,
I mean,
no. Now let's give Buddhists a fair shake. There are Buddhists that have actually gone out and committed violence against Muslim communities. So there are violent Buddhists.
yeah, they round those bastards up too.
So
Buddhists are territorial, man.
Okay.
Just wanted to put that out there because I like it, in every conversation. It's like everybody brings up Buddhists, like, oh, well, you wouldn't mind if a bunch of Buddhists came in there, like, maybe. Where are they from though?
What type of Buddhists are these?
Which Buddhists are these that we're talking about? Because there's some differences.
Well, it's just like Islam. I mean, there's Wahhabis and then there's Sunnis and Shias and there's Ishmaelians and there's it goes down the stick.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's another thing I love to point out to these people who just get so angry with me for not being as afraid as they are. And it's like, well, okay, what's the most dangerous part of Islam? I'm pretty sure it's Wahhabism. Where
100%.
Where is the center of Wahhabism? Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
What is the only country that Trump, Obama, none of these people ever do anything about? Saudi Arabia.
Trump just approved a Saudi Arabian arms deal. Just approved it.
Yes, thank you. I don't understand why everybody is so dense and does not get this. Oh my God! Like all of this stuff, even if what you're talking about, Dave, even if what like the fact that it's not actually Muslims and it's political stuff, that it's just they're blaming on Muslims and all these attacks and whatever's going on over in Europe. Even if that's not true, even if it's it's like, why are you ignoring like the 5 million pound gorilla on the globe? Like seriously,
Fu Harambe?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you ignoring him?
Don't ignore Harambe. Saudi Arabia is obviously a problem. Okay.
But who's the focus on?
The United States
right
funding it essentially with giving it free like just selling it arms.
Yeah,
like for military bases is what it is, because a lot of United States military bases are in Saudi Arabia. That's why they get these arms deals.
Yeah, and who's the focus on instead right now? Well, from the left,
Iran.
Well, yeah, from the right, the focus
Iran and Russia.
Well, no, hold on. From the right, it's on Iran. Yeah. From the left, it's on Russia because they're pissed off because they don't want the peace treaty between Russia with Trump and Putin and all that stuff.
It's bad for war.
Exactly, but both sides want to have a different. Both sides have a different boogeyman, but both of them are totally not mentioning the actual boogeyman because both of them benefit from that one.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to talk about Muslims, and if you're not afraid of the Muslims, you don't understand what Islam is. It's like, okay, how many times must we go through this? There are over a billion Muslims on the face of the planet. There are over a billion confirmed, I think, Muslims on the face of the planet. That's 1/7 of the fucking population of the goddamn world.
Only individuals act.
If they wanted to wipe us out, we'd all be dead by now. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, what is like we were just talking about? What is the dangerous part of Islam? Well, it's mostly Wahhabism. And why is nobody paying attention to Wahhabism? Because both sides tell you not to pay attention to the Wahhabis because they'll talk about them in abstract, but they won't do anything about Saudi Arabia.
Do you want to know why, Jeremy? It's because they're all caught up in a pedo scheme with these Saudis too. And I know that like there's a lot of implications what I said there, but like if you really look at all of the stuff that's coming out with the Pizzagate stuff and the pedo stuff, and think about it. All these people have high level initiation rights into their secret little societies and clubs and stuff that they have to go into. And like you don't get certain deals with certain people unless you do certain things. So yeah, think about all these huge arms deals. Think about all these huge oil deals, all that. Yeah, the Saudis have so much power, so much dirt on people that it would be, I mean, embarrassing.
Well,
that's why everyone's like, hey, ignore the man behind the curtain.
Well, that's why they have to be physically removed from the face of the planet.
Yeah, I think some of those folks, I think that would even be, and
I don't even necessarily. I mean, I don't have an issue with most of the people that live in Saudi Arabia. Well, I can't even say that because I don't really know too much about it. But I do know that the princes really are the ones that create all of these problems because they're the ones that are pushing Wahhabism. They're the ones that are making these deals. They're the ones that are the power brokers.
Wasn't one of them just given some kind of peace prize?
He was. Oh no! It wasn't peace prize. It was a council for human rights. The UN made a Saudi prince. I think either the chairman or they put him on the council for human rights.
And I'm pretty sure which I think Saudi owns half of Twitter, and that's
hilarious.
why it's been all crazy, acting crazy. And they're buying. They think about this. They have all this oil money. So like, I mean, I read a report the other day. There was like Saudi has $3 trillion in American cash that they're about to start just swallowing whole companies with. You know, like when someone comes in and goes, "Hey, we'll grossly overpay for your company," you're not going to say like you're going to sell it. Like,
well, yeah,
you just are.
I wouldn't.
Well, yeah, but in the current
especially
market,
if it's some secret corporate that you don't know is Saudi on, right? That just is like, hey, we're new in town and we want to buy up this.
Yeah,
we're in this market.
That's how that stuff's always done. It's the same way they do what's the term? Is it gentrification? Is that the one I'm thinking of? I'm tired.
Yes, gentrification. That's what you're thinking of.
But that's how
they buy it up and then they tear it down and set up their own stuff.
All the movie studios are getting bought up by China right now. Like Chinese billionaires are buying them up. So like, watch how pro-China all of the movies coming out are going to be. It's going to be hilarious. No, like it's going to be the death of
it's going to be okay. To be fair though, if we get a whole bunch of Hong Kong blood opera out of it, or like some sweet kung fu movies,
I'm down.
I could deal with that. I could deal with like a Chinese version of Avengers,
but it's not going to be that. It's going to be
Chan.
It's going to be
anything.
Red. It was the Red Dawn reboot that was supposed to be China originally, right? That they made them back down on. Wasn't it? Is it right? Because wasn't the original Red Dawn? Wasn't China? The original Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze. Wasn't it China that invaded and took over? It
was Russia.
Oh, it was Russia.
It was Russia.
Yeah, and they tried. I'm almost positive they tried to do it. They almost tried to do it. Yeah, but they tried to do it with China. I thought in the remake, and that got scrapped at the end. It wasn't in North Korea.
Yeah, it was North Korea. I didn't hear anything about that. Though.
I'm pretty sure.
The new Red Dawn. You're talking about
the remake.
Yeah, it was North Korea, which is totally unbelievable.
Well, no,
North Korea couldn't invade. It's not their next.
But I'm almost positive that I read multiple reports about that it was supposed to be China. The original screenplay had it being China coming in. And the Chinese, who had already started getting into the movie industry, as you're just describing, Dave, were like, yeah, no, we can't let that happen. And there was a lot of fights about it, about them threatening not to show it, and try to block it out of other places too. And they scrapped the whole thing and rewrote it for North Korea right before the release.
Yeah,
or right before they started.
And I've contended for a while that North Korea is just a Chinese puppet state.
Well, it is to a certain extent.
Yeah, well,
I think what happens is the Chinese Communist Party does all their secret little tests and all their little experiments and shit in North Korea and they let that little dictator family do whatever they want as long as they abide and don't like piss China off.
Well, that part's definitely true.
Think about it, because China could swallow North Korea whenever the absolute fuck they wanted to.
Oh, of course.
And no one would stop them. No one on the planet would.
Oh, of course they would. Yeah,
who would risk war with China to prevent them from owning North Korea? 0 people.
Yeah, no, I don't know if that's accurate or not. And let me explain to you why before anybody jumps in. The real threat there would be if China swallows up, because I mean, on the surface, yes, the United States and China have normalized political relationships. But if China were to invade and conquer and annex North Korea, they would be right next to South Korea. And you had better believe that would cause some severe issues in Chinese-U.S. Chinese-U.S. relations.
It would,
so
right.
there's...
It may...
No, it would. Yeah? No, it would.
No. He's right about that, because it's already contentious as it is, because it's been, I think, for the most part, the part of the foreign policy is they sure as heck act like they believe North Korea is essentially a proxy, and it's just the hostility between between the two countries is never, it's never really gone away.
Right. If China were to do that, it would immediately jump to how it was during the Cold War in like the early 60s between the U.S. and Russia.
It would, it would calm down. I mean, Russia just took over Crimea, which was... They did that a few years ago, and that was NATO controlled, dude. So, like, China taking over North Korea, which is independent, sovereign. No, there's no one come to save them.
Again, it's not. But it's not the North Korea thing. Like I see what you're saying.
South Korea is like a complete U.S. proxy state. But I get that.
But that's the problem. Because it's just like, like all the joke memes and stuff about, how whether it was Russia or Iran, it's like, look, of course they want to start trouble. Look how close they put their country to all our bases. Like, that's the type of, like, there's already that hostility because the U.S. has bases there, just like they have pretty much everywhere else. And they control what goes on in pretty much in the, keeping the two side, there's, I mean, what's the line that's there? I always forget the name of it. The
DMZ. Yeah. And it's one thing to have a proxy state next to another proxy state. It's another thing entirely to have a proxy state next to your enemy.
Yes, exactly. So
that's a whole other. I mean, that is a whole other dynamic.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with enough to really.
Soon. I could see them getting radical, especially like I was saying, if Dylan's right and U.S. and Russia try to kind of trade deal them out. I could definitely see that.
Look, all I'm saying is if the bombs drop, if the Chinese bombs drop and the American bombs drop, China could be the lone wanderer, and I'm going to have to find a vault.
China could just say, North Korea is too high of a security risk with their nuclear arms program. We had to go in and shut them down and take over their country. That's simple.
Again, Dave, it's again, if that was take that out of the equation, and that's the only part of the equation. Well, yeah, but if that's the only part of the equation, that's one thing. But if you're not taking into you're still not really taking into account what Andrei is talking about, which I think is an excellent point, because it really is. I mean, that's why they always want these buffer zones. That's why in World War, I guess was it II with the whole issue with Poland, or did that start in World War I? I always forget. I think it was World War II.
No, that was II.
Yeah,
that was II. The Treaty of Brest-Litovsk.
Yeah, but that being once Poland became an issue, like that's why it became such a big thing, because and any of the border countries that take that buffer zone away, it's an automatic threat to the other side, because now, like you said, it's not just a proxy on proxy, it's a proxy right next to it, and
right.
that makes it much more dangerous.
To try and illustrate this, imagine during the Cold War in like the 60s, the 70s in Europe, the Warsaw Pact nations were essentially Soviet puppets. Pretty much every single one of them was.
Yeah.
I mean, to greater and lesser extents. Like I know, like for example, Romania was one of the only Warsaw Pact country to object to Soviet armed forces invading Poland when they had their uprising to overthrow the communists in the 60s, 70s. But they were all essentially Soviet puppets. They were puppet governments for the USSR. Imagine what it would have been if the USSR, in the interest of salvaging communism, had simply just taken them over.
Yeah.
And just said, okay,
Well,
these
they
are
did,
all now
didn't
part
they?
of Russia. No, they didn't. They did not. They didn't even come close.
I think
There's a difference
that was
between
big
having a
mistake
puppet
for
government.
them
Well,
not
yeah.
doing that.
Well, yeah, and it
Well,
weakened
war
their
is the
position.
only way
but-
communism can prop itself up. So the minute you
I agree,
stop
but
war,
no, but-
you hit famines and stuff. Yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying is try and picture that scenario and imagine what would have happened to international relations between the West and the USSR if they had simply just taken over all of Eastern Europe and turned it into Russia and said, "No, this is now Russia. These aren't countries. This is Russia."
Yeah.
So that's what
Who
I'm trying to
knows?
get at. It's not. It's not.
Who knows?
Well, no, it would have been bad.
It would have been horrible. That probably would have been nuclear war. Like
Yeah.
real talk.
I could definitely see that.
It depends on how Russia, if Russia did it correctly.
But moves like that, it's correctly. That's such a subjective term. Like, what do you mean correctly? Like, no, they're just.
If they hard could all of it, just one nation at a time.
It's not. No, the question isn't whether they could.
And they
do it.
almost did that. They shipped. What they did is when they, when the USSR would get a new country, essentially, they would ship so many ethnic Russians in there that they would control the voting population. It's when the USSR started to fall apart that all the Russians went back to Russia. That things, local policies, politicians and stuff started getting put back in.
Yeah, but again, it's not a matter of whether they could have or not. It's a matter of what would have happened, because that's trying to prove the point of what Andrei was saying about North Korea. It's something that sounds like it'd be easy enough because most people wouldn't care, because North Korea just seems to be I guess on the worldwide stage
Just utter pieces of shit.
Yeah, they're just
Like everybody thinks that.
Yeah,
they're
just the
universally
pest,
reviled.
Basically. Exactly. So it's like you would think that, but it does on the geopolitical scale, it makes things it changes things. And when there's already hostilities, and especially if Dylan's right about the collaboration to try to preemptively ward off China, that means tensions are already going to be high to begin with, and doing something like that is a provocation. I mean, just look at the history of look at all the things that provoked people into doing things throughout history.
It's mostly trade.
Well, that's happens.
Somebody that's got a trade monopoly set up, it either getting stopped or someone trying to set up their monopoly in competition. I mean, just look at the Fed. It's essentially a currency monopoly. And if Trump tries to infringe on that monopoly, nothing's going to change until he tries to infringe on that monopoly.
See, again, because that is like the linchpin to a lot of this, that's why I really don't see that ever happening. I don't see anything ever going anywhere as far as legislation.
That's my barometer.
I don't think
that's my barometer, Jeremy. If Trump is real legit, he's a real human being and not a sellout slimeball, politician, just another douchebag, is if he does anything with the Fed.
Yeah. That's going to be my.
And I'm talking about
too. Now that's not necessarily that's not necessarily going to negate anything about what we've talked about, but it adds a different dimension to it, because, like you said, the Fed is the linchpin. So if he starts screwing with it, and I mean screwing with it hard, not just saying, I want this person for Fed chairman instead of this person. But if he starts screwing with it hard, if he tries to nationalize it, or if he tries to abolish it, through executive fiat, that's huge. That's going to be huge. Huge.
Yeah. Okay. Again, and I do agree, and I've agreed with Dave on that point ever since the first time I remember you making it. I said, yeah, if that comes to pass, I will take back everything I've been saying this entire time and admit that I was wrong.
You'll eat your hat.
Yes, absolutely, and I have no problem with that. For me, it's never been about Trump. It's been about been about the historical record.
The institution.
Yeah, it's been about the historical record.
And I totally agree with you. Yeah,
what I know has happened over and over and over again, no matter what the personality was. Because again, he's something different than what people are used to, but in a lot of ways, he's very similar to some
more
other
of
people.
the same. Yeah,
that's right. Just especially like for me, again, I can't shake the Reagan comparison. I just can't. It's been eating at me.
I would say Coolidge
long.
more than Reagan. But
No. It's just the cult of personality around him. The idea, like all like just the basically.
Yeah, I mean they're both actors essentially.
Well, lifelong.
But Reagan wasn't a billionaire.
But it doesn't matter. Lifelong. Yeah, well, because again, they're not the same. But like there's similarities. The lifelong entertainers essentially.
The same cult of personality is driving it, is what you're saying.
Well, right. Yeah, but the other thing is they were both lifelong entertainers essentially who were essentially asked to take the role of a lifetime. You know, and I just and with Reagan, it was
win one for the Gipper.
Well, I mean, there's the story about John Wayne going to Reagan's house and saying, "Listen, we need you to do this for us." Basically, like he's saying like we need you to run as a Republican for the for the office. Like that, I've heard that story so many times.
Illuminati.
And they needed him to basically play a role. And with Trump's not like that. Trump's different. Where Trump, it's still a role of a lifetime, but for him, he is so used to winning.
I think he wants to be a hero.
Well, no, yeah, he wants to be. No, like we make fun. You can make fun of the way he talks because he does. It's the best. It's fantastic. Like whatever. Like how he talks about everything like that. But
he thinks he's just going to be able to do that with like the way he does business. He thinks he's going to be able to do it with government. But he's going to find out quickly it doesn't work that way.
Well, I've made that point before too. With the just like whatchamacallit, the story about Truman saying that about Eisenhower. Saying, he's in it for a shock when he gets in here because he's used to people snapping to his orders, and he's going to get into once he gets into the presidency, he's going to do that, and people are just going to pat him on the head and go, "That okay, Mr. President, that's real nice. Now go over there and play with something," basically. And
but he was he was the highest ranking.
I know, I think, of all but time. It was still a shock to a shock to the system. But Trump, on the other hand, aside from that aspect, it's also that he thinks he wants to be the best because why wouldn't he? He wants to be the best at everything else. That's just the type of person he is. So he's gonna be stubborn about the things that he wants. And like I said, so far I haven't seen. I just
think he's a hero populist. This is if you read the early hero worshipers, the reason why the Roman Empire was made, the people that philosophized behind that. If you read them, it was all behind hero worship. And I just think Trump wants to be a hero. He wants to go down in the books as like, hey, the guy that fixed the ship.
I want to be the best president. I want to show everybody that I that I can do the things that everybody else.
But it can't work. It won't work.
Well, we know that, but I don't know if he actually knows that.
All value is subjective to the individual, and what level of slavery someone will put up with is one of those value judgments. And it doesn't matter if Trump got the thing running like a fine-tuned machine, there will still be someone out there, i.e. me, Andre, and Jeremy, who are still going to be like, no, this is too much government. It's not zero.
Yeah.
That's right. 100%.
Damn purists. Wow.
I think that's a pretty good note to wrap up on, though. That was excellent. Yeah. I like that, Dave.
Me too, and I agree, Andre. So yeah, we should probably get wrapping up. You guys got anything else you want to close out with before we go?
No, this has actually been a really fantastic conversation. I mean, I think we delved pretty deeply into a lot of stuff today, so I'm pretty satisfied with it.
Baba booey. That's all I got.
Huge,
man. I haven't heard that in forever. All right. Well, on that note, we will wrap up. This has been the Seeds of Liberty podcast. All of our information can be found at theseedsofliberty.com, where one day we will have a new website, allegedly. And we also now can be heard on ipmNation. They replay our stuff a couple times a week, which is kind of cool. So check us out there. All right. So we will catch you next time. Peace.
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 Seeds of Liberty. 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 Seeds of Liberty.
Cell411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT no government license. The BIPCOT no-gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.